Our homework help video for the homework titled Positive and Negative Numbers. What we're asked to do here is to evaluate each and to try to do it without a calculator, although having a calculator nearby could be very helpful so that you can double check your answers as you go. One simple rule is if we ever see minus and negative, let's switch that to be a plus. And if we ever see plus and negative, then turn that into just a single minus. The positive can just sort of disappear there. It's not needed. Other than that, we kind of just have to think through these problems. Like, let's look at number 1. -1 minus a -8, well, that's the same as -1 plus 8. I like to think I'm $1 in debt, but then I deposit $8. How much money do I have? Well, of that $8 I deposit, 1 will cancel out my debt, and the remaining $7 will just all go be positive numbers in my bank account. With a problem like this, we could also flip it around, make this an 8 minus 1, and you'll see that you get the same number. The negative there travels with the 1. This is really good, especially when that second number is bigger, or at least farther away from 0 than the first number. Problem number 2, let's use the minus and negative trick. Let's turn this into -5 plus 2. Here, switching around is probably not going to help us very much. Since this is the bigger number, instead let's just think I'm $5 in debt, I deposit $2, now I'm only $3 in debt, just like that. Problem number 3, -7 minus 5, so there's nothing that needs to be switched here. When I've got a negative number and I'm subtracting another negative number, it's always going to end up negative, and it's always going to be these two numbers added together, and then we can make them negative. So 7 plus 5 is 12, but we knew it was going to be negative, so we can make that -12. So let's go back to the money metaphor on this one. I'm $7 in debt. I spend $5 more. Now I'm $12 in debt. The debts got added together is one way to think about it. Plus a negative, we just switch that for a minus, and now this just becomes 5 minus 1, which is 4. 0 minus 6, if I'm at $0 and I spend $6, now I'm at -$6. Let's see. -5 plus a -7, you'll realize this is actually the same as this problem here. Instead of being $7 in debt and then spending $5, now we're $5 in debt and then spending $7. Both is going to end up with us being $12 in debt. 8 minus a -8, that's just the same as 8 plus 8, equals 16. And frankly, you just have to keep practicing and checking your work to build up a good sense of positive and negative numbers. Let's see, let's go to some of these ones that have 3 steps. When they have 3 steps, we just want to go left to right. So first thing, I'm going to swap out these plus negatives in number 11 for just minuses. So -7 minus 3, minus 3. -7 minus 3, so I'm $7 in debt and I spend $3 more. Now I'm $10 in debt, and this minus 3 sticks around. I spend another $3 and now I'm $13 in debt. So -13. Let's look at 12. I got -8 plus 6, because the minus is negative, plus 8. One thing with addition here, now that it's all addition, I can change this around. If I wanted to bring this -8 to the end, I could make it 6 plus 8 minus 8. And then we can see that these two just cancel each other out. We've got a -8 there, we've got a positive 8, they just cancel each other out. We're left with just 6. So that only works with addition, though. Let's remember that. You can't rearrange things with negatives unless you bring the minus with the number. Let's take a look at maybe like problem 19. -8 minus 7. So I've got two negative numbers. I add them together to make it negative. That's going to be 15. But I knew that it was going to be negative, so I had two negative numbers. And then I'm adding 5 to that. Big negative number plus a smaller positive number. What we can do with this is treat that 15 like it's positive, subtract the 5, we get 10, but then we know because the negative number was bigger, our answer has to be negative. So I was $15 in debt. I added $5 to my account, now I'm only $10 in debt. However you want to think about it. Let's take a look at the backside now, even more, just more practice for us. We've got some with 4 numbers now. Let's pick number 23. First thing is I go through and I swap out the minus and negative for a plus, and the plus and negative for a minus. Now I've got just some nice easy addition. That's going to become a 15 plus 7 minus 2. Next that's going to become a 22 minus 2, and then finally a 20. You got to just keep going left to right. We cannot combine this 7 and this negative 2 until we've gone left to right. Sometimes that will actually work out, but especially if there's a minus in the middle, that can make that very confusing. We should just always go left to right. Let's see if there's any others. I mean, these all look pretty similar. It's just good practice. Got some bigger ones for you to try without a calculator first, but then if you don't get the right answer, check it with the calculator. 31, I'm turning this into 87 minus 100. These numbers are pretty big, so it's hard to think about money. Instead, I want to just think about the different tricks I know. One is to switch this around, make it 100 minus 87, and then make our answer negative. Now I can, do borrowing, and 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 1 is 9 minus 8 is 1, but then I knew the answer was going to be negative, so I make my answer negative. 99 plus 40, this becomes 139. And go ahead and try the rest. Just keep practicing and checking with the calculator, and the more you practice, the better. All right, have a great rest of your day.